going to show you exactly how a session moves and how money is moved from A to B, A to B, A to B. Whenever you have a single session, yeah, what it needs to do, it needs to offer best bids and best asks in the auction market. Now, you guys are probably new to the markets. Some of you may have a year, 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years experience in the market, but you still don't understand the mechanics behind trading sessions, price action, concepts, strategies. Allow me to break down one of the most powerful ways of looking at the markets. Now, whenever a session clocks in, it needs to open its inventory. Now, when you're looking at just pure price action and raw candlesticks, what is inventory overall? Okay, these are the questions you have to be asking yourself. What is an inventory? If you don't understand inventory, I do share a more detailed breakdown in some of my other platforms. But what is inventory in general? Okay, an inventory is when you have stock of items. Okay, stock of items. Now, when you're looking at you know when you're looking at sessions, trading, charts, asset classes, the inventory obviously has a different context. Okay, and when you're looking at, for example, New York session, it's the net positioning. Okay, and that the trading session has built itself. Okay, you're looking at which side has accumulated positions during the session. Is it the buyers or the sellers? So inventory in trading, okay, is the net positioning. Now, why am I sharing all of this freely to all of you? Okay, the reason why I am looking to share all of this information, because the majority of you guys are probably paying 5k, 6k, 7k, or even a grand for the information that I am about to provide to you for free, and that itself is me bringing value up front, just to show you that this is one of the most powerful tooling systems. And there's many, many more powerful tooling systems which I share on a daily basis, but this is just one of them. So inventory is the net positioning, or you can say directional exposure, okay, that a trading session has built up. Okay, in other words, pretty much, like I said earlier, which side has accumulated the most positions during the session, buyers or sellers. So once we understand that, yeah, let's summarize this. Which side has accumulated positions during the session? Okay, buyers or sellers. So now we know that, excuse me, by the way, let me just drink some water. So now we know inventory. So how are we looking to make some money out of the market? We need to understand the difference. Okay, we need to understand the difference. So this is where I've managed to convince myself to actually put it out there. So delta, the location. So delta is now we are gonna dive into the whole delta stuff. So it gives you a better understanding. Delta, okay, equals the location where that inventory is anchored and protected, because we know, okay, that if you have bids, sellers, bids equals sells, asks equals buyers, the difference equals delta. And I'm guessing that the majority of you know the difference between the bids and the asks, which is delta. Okay, cool. Now we understand inventory, we understand session inventory, we understand that in order for price to move, there needs to be, the difference available, which is the delta. Now, can we use every single delta candle? in the market? Absolutely not. That is not gonna really serve you any purpose. So what I've done over here, my friends, is I've pretty much combined session to session inverses and session to session continuations by implementing the difference, which is the delta, okay, here, allowing us to really just wait for price to return to that location in order for the liquidation or the blow off top to happen. Very, very useful. And the problem that it solves, yeah, is stop loss issue. Because the solution is the location, which is the delta. That is the solution to the problem. So the problem is stop loss issue. I know many traders out there, there's only one issue. It's not chart read. You could get the chart read wrong, you know. But if you're stop, because your risk to reward makes a big difference when it comes to trading. It makes a big difference. You cannot execute in no man's land and have 100 pip stop loss. Got neighbors, kids playing in the garden. Happy days. Excuse me. So what I've done over here is I've tailored all of this together for all of you. Okay, you guys can see I've marked out session highs, session lows in a very specific color: Asia blue, London red, NY black. Timings at the bottom will follow. So this is just me touching base on inventory, delta, and the problem that the majority of you guys have in the market. And let's be real, you can't really lie to yourself on a daily basis and try to sugarcoat the fact that you don't have a stop loss issue. Everyone has a stop loss issue. Every single person that trades the market has a stop loss issue because the market is freely floating. It's a decentralized market. It's freely floating. Gold spot, XAUSD, decentralized market. It's freely floating. So obviously you are going to have a stop loss issue. And the solution is the location. So what I've done, as you can see, I've marked out New York's delta with this rectangle tool across the grid. NY's delta from 1400 up until 12 o'clock. That's NY's delta, 215. And I am using the footprint charts. I am using ATAS. I use ATAS to map out the delta candle. And yeah, I cover all of this in my Discord handle. So feel free to have a look. We've got some really solid pieces of content uploaded. And if you look over here as well, I've got more than 205 templates over here. We're looking at huge moves based off delta. Delta moves are very, very extensive. Openly showing you the failures for 35, and this is the daily regime, daily protocol. 350 pips, 300 pips, minus 100, plus 650. So you guys can see it for yourself. Now, I'm showing you guys the strategy over here. So please do have a look. And this was just to touch base on inventory, delta, the problem, the solution. Now let's move into how the session mechanics, the session intelligence, multi-session swings, intraday into intra swing, are being positioned in the markets.